Good morning, everyone. Welcome to St. Joseph's University, home of the Hawks. Thank you all for joining us today for the announcement of our next athletic director. But before we begin, we'd like to invite Reverend Daniel Joyce of the Society of Jesus, University's Chief Mission Officer and Executive Director of Mission Programs, to offer an invocation. Father Joyce.
Well, welcome. As is our custom, to call upon God in Thank you. It's our custom to call upon God in all times, and especially appropriate simply to join together our entire St. Joseph's University family in prayer, both as we mourn the sudden loss of two of our own this week, Mark Dombrowski, who passed away while traveling in Bermuda to compete in a rugby tournament, and Sergeant Clint Cunningham of the Newtown Police Department, one of our graduate students in criminal justice. And so let us pray. God of our consolation and hope, come to our aid and be present with us in our time of need. Be present in a special and powerful way to the family and friends of Mark and Clint. May they be embraced in your loving care, and their vibrant and positive spirits continue to be an inspiration to Hawks both near and far. But also, God, we offer a special prayer of welcome to Jill Bodensteiner as she begins her leadership on Hawk Hill. May she be blessed with a spirit of wisdom and strength as she guides our time-honored athletic program into a new era. We ask this through the intercession of St. Joseph, our patron and inspiration. Amen.
Thank you, Father Joyce. I now have the pleasure of introducing St. Joseph's University President, Dr. Mark C. Reid. Dr. Reid is finishing his third year as president and personally led the search for the university's next athletics director. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Reid.
Thank you, Marie, and good morning, everyone. Today is a momentous occasion in the history of our university, and I'm grateful that so many of our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends could join us, particularly after Mother Nature gave us one last burst yesterday. Before I introduce the university's next athletic director, I wish to acknowledge the man who, for the last 30 years and 35 years total, has been at the heart of our athletics programs, and really, in many ways, at the heart of our university. Don DeJulia is a legend, no doubt about it. He's a hard-working leader with integrity, talent, and vision, and he's captured the admiration and loyalty of generations of Hawk athletes, and is easily one of the most recognized and respected individuals in collegiate athletics. Athletics programs often serve as a lens through which the public views a university. Some say that athletics programs are the front porch of an institution. With the NCAA basketball tournaments going on right now, consider UMBC and Loyola Chicago's recent limelight for evidence. Through Don's leadership and love of SJU over the many decades, our university has been the beneficiary of strong and successful programs that have garnered positive attention and accolades. And Don has set the stage beautifully for this occasion and for a bright future for Hawk athletics. Don, please stand and be recognized.
It would be good if I spanked you.
And just so you all know, Don isn't really going anywhere. He will continue, of course, to make his mark on St. Joseph's University for a long time to come. But I'm thrilled now to turn our attention to what we're all here for. And I'm thrilled with the outcome of our search to identify our next director of athletics. The quantity and the caliber of candidates we attracted from across the country affirms that Hawk Hill is a desirable and great place to be, as we know it already. Internally, I would like to thank several individuals who assisted with interviewing and evaluating the candidates. They include David Beaupre, our Vice President for Finance and Administration and Treasurer, who chaired a search advisory committee on my behalf, Dr. Carrie Anderson, our Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Monica Nixon, Assistant Provost for Inclusion and Diversity, Dr. Steve Porth, Professor of Management and Faculty Athletics Representative, Katie Shields, Senior Associate Vice President for University Advancement, and Sharon Eiserman, Vice President for Human Resources. Thank you. Externally, Parker Executive Search worked hand in hand with us to strategize and execute a hiring plan. We haven't done this for a while, and so their guidance was critical, and we thank them. And with all of that said, and without further ado, it is truly my honor and privilege to introduce SJU's next Director of Athletics, Jill Bodensteiner. Jill's appointment is significant for many reasons. As we already noted, she's the first new Director of Athletics at St. Joseph's University in some time. 2, she comes from St. Joe's from Notre Dame, an institution with a highly regarded and widely recognized athletic brand. The Fighting Irish and the Hawks have a lot in common: an indomitable spirit, passionate fan base, and a focus on cultivating and developing scholar athletes in every sense of the term. 3, Jill rose to the top of an impressive list of people that we had the privilege to meet. She was the best candidate for the job. Certainly a historic moment today. Jill's impressive 20-year career at her alma mater, the University of Notre Dame, began in 1997 in the Office of the General Counsel, progressed to the Athletics Department in 2009, and culminated in her most recent role as Senior Associate Athletics Director 5 years ago. To her role, Jill brings strong NCAA experience and leadership, having served on the committees on women's athletics and the Division I Women's Basketball Committee. Working closely with Lead One, the Atlantic Coast Conference, and the NCAA, Jill played a key role in shaping the national debate and final legislation in areas including financial support for student athletes, time management, and academic conduct. Additionally, with her experience in Catholic collegiate athletics, Jill embraces and is prepared to lead SJU's Jesuit mission in our athletic endeavors and understand its place at the center of all that we do here. Jill, on behalf of Hawks here on campus and around the globe, and in the tradition of the Big Five, welcome to St. Joseph's University.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Some of you braving difficult weather, others joining us virtually. And I just really appreciate you all being here to celebrate what is a very special day for me and hopefully for St. Joseph's University. Of the many reasons I was attracted to this position, the sense of community and the Jesuit tradition are among the most important. It is because of that community and that faith that I'd like to start by joining Father Joyce and just acknowledging the passing of Mark and Clint in my thoughts and prayers. It is times like this when that sense of community, it gives me comfort to know that you have each other, and for many of you, your faith to get through these times. Speaking of community, I want to offer my deepest appreciation to the leader of this wonderful community, Dr. Mark Reid. Dr. Reid, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having confidence in me to lead this athletics department at a wonderful university and at a really important time in college athletics. I'm absolutely thrilled to work with you and your wonderful colleagues. I also want to join Dr. Reid in thanking David Beaupre and the Search Advisory Committee and all the other great people I had the opportunity to meet. Thank you all for having faith and belief in me to be the next leader of this athletics department. Don DeJulia. It's not easy to follow a legend, and I promise I will do my best. Your reputation at St. Joe, and in fact nationally within college athletics, is frankly one that we should all strive for. In addition to your many accomplishments, you leave a legacy of character, kindness, and selfless leadership. I am so grateful for the foundation that Don has built here. Don, I wish you the very best in your well-deserved retirement. Based on our brief time spent together yesterday, I know we're going to have a great working relationship going forward. I want to thank Bernadette McGlade and the A10 and the other institutions in the A10. I'm so excited to be part of such a prestigious conference. At St. Joe's, we obviously get the bonus of being in the Big Five, and I couldn't be more excited to compete in and prevail in some of the best rivalries in college sports. I promise not to make this an Oscar speech, but I do want to offer a few thank yous here before I dig in. To my mom and dad, my sister Julie and her amazing family. You taught me love, authenticity, compassion, and doing it all with a sense of humor, and I love you guys to death, and I know you're watching. Thank you to my wonderful friends. Quite simply, you all mean the world to me, and I can promise my family and friends you are going to love visiting me in Philadelphia, a city of champions. To my friends and mentors at the University of Notre Dame, President Father John Jenkins, Vice President and Director of Athletics Jack Swarbrick, Professor Tricia Belia, Coach Muffet McGraw, thank you. Thank you for teaching me, thank you for believing in me, and thank you for caring about me as a person. Notre Dame shaped who I am in my 20-plus years there, and there's part of me that will always consider Notre Dame home. I've received several congratulations over the past 48 hours, and the ones that may be most special to me are those from our current and former student athletes. And what a delightful surprise to have former women's basketball student athlete Ariel Breaker from Notre Dame, not a bad career, 4 Final Fours in 4 years, show up live to wish me best. Thank you, Ariel. So to all those current and former student athletes, and I know a retweet means you love me, I appreciate the shout outs, and thank you for teaching me what it takes to be an extraordinary student and athlete, and I admire everything that you do incredibly much. Speaking of student athletes, that's why I and so many others are in this profession, and there's so many of you here today. I appreciate that. That leads me to a few things that I consider non-negotiables as a leader in college athletics. The first is creating the very best student-athlete experience. That experience starts with our coaches, who I refer to as coach teachers, in the model of St. Joe's very own Dr. Jack Ramsey. I know that I'm inheriting many fantastic coach teachers, and I can't wait to get to know you all. The student-athlete experience at St. Joe's that we will collectively create should be one that challenges the heck out of these student-athletes, and one that will allow them to develop as people on and off the courts and playing fields. An enriching student-athlete experience also includes the ability to compete at a high level, and we're going to do everything we can to allow you to achieve that success. Let's be honest, it's no fun to ask our student-athletes to set mediocre goals, and it's no fun to ask our student-athletes to set lofty goals and never reach them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work really, really hard to give you an opportunity to compete and succeed, and we're gonna have high expectations for that success. Another non-negotiable for me is integrity, in the broadest sense of the word. We will participate in athletics in a manner consistent with our Jesuit tradition. We will win the right way, by following the rules, by displaying great sportsmanship, and otherwise making our passionate fans always proud to be Hawks. We will demand that our student athletes are students, and that they aren't simply graduating. That should be our minimum expectation, but that they're engaging academically, as students, and in the community. We will not shy away from issues of social justice, and we will embrace and model inclusion, love for one another during these divisive times in our society. In short, we will strive to live greater. I've covered the non-negotiables. There are other aspects of leadership in college athletics that require and demand more of a balanced approach. At an institution like St. Joe's, that includes a balance between tradition and innovation. I promise to work hard to preserve the tradition at St. Joe's while always pushing us to think bigger and bolder. Another balance that I'll work to achieve is leading with my mind versus leading with my heart. Those of you who work with me will learn that I love metrics and I'm a bit of a data geek. I will no doubt use metrics and data to help inform decisions, but I promise to always lead with my heart. In Don's example, I will come to the office every day with a lot of heart. I am genuinely touched by the warm welcome that I've received to Hawk Hill from many passionate St. Joe's alumni, fans, students, faculty, staff, and friends of the university. I promise you that I will give everything I have to St. Joseph's University. Together, we are going to do great things. If there's one thing I know for certain, it is that the Hawk will never die. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. We'll offer a welcome to Jill on behalf of student athletes. Avery is a sports marketing and communications major from Reading, Pennsylvania, who suffered a stroke in 2014 and fought her way back to the court. She was awarded the 2018 Pat Summit Most Courageous Award, and she will be presented with that at the Women's Final Four in a few weeks in Columbus, Ohio. Avery Mars.
On behalf of SJU's 465 student athletes, welcome to Hawk Hill. The athletes you will encounter here bring passion, intensity, school spirit, and discipline to our courts and playing fields. The pressures we face are immense, but the rewards of being a student athlete at SJU are many. We are a close-knit, loyal, and supportive community of athletes. The coaches, staff, and administrators who spend their days, nights, and weekends in Hagan Arena are our family. They help us in our academic pursuits, push our athletic performance, and tend to our personal and spiritual needs. Not only are we embraced by our student body, but also by the city of Philadelphia. Today, we welcome you with open wings into our family of Hawks.
Sure. Well, we engaged with Parker Executive Search, which is one of the leading firms in the college sports space, both for athletic directors, coaches, as well as the professional sports space as well. And really what we did as part of that, I mean, we had a number of candidates from across Division I institutions, conferences, and the like. And we cast a very wide net. Out of a large applicant pool, we decided to bring in 12 candidates initially and to interview them. I mean, that's a few more probably than we probably should have, but I always learn a lot through these interviews, even with people that ultimately might not, be the right time or the right fit. I enjoy them thoroughly. I participated in them. I was at our advisory committee. And ultimately, we narrowed it down to 3, which is a kind of a standard practice in our industry, at least. And in the end analysis, Jill stood out. She was the best candidate. We had great candidates, people who are going to be successful athletic directors in the future, but we felt we got the right person for the job, and I couldn't be happier.
Can you tell me approximately like how many were interested in the job?
Oh, well, I mean, total interest was, I'm pretty sure it was in excess of 50 candidates. But we narrowed down to 12. There were probably 12 to 15 candidates we spent a lot of time discussing, and rather than say 10 or 8, we said, let's bring in 12 and cast a wide net, as I said. We learned a lot in this process, so we felt very good about it.
Jill, was this something you always wanted to be an AD, or you just saw this as a good opportunity? Like, how about your goals and everything leading up to this?
Yeah, I was a little bit of a late bloomer coming into athletics administration, so I spent 15 years as a practicing attorney, as Dr. Reid referenced in his remarks. Came to athletics at Notre Dame about 10 years ago, and yeah, a few years ago, in working really closely with Jack Swarbrick, our vice president and director of athletics, I started thinking about, I think I would like to take the next step. And from there, it was a matter of finding the right fit. And for me, coming from a values-based institution, I knew that I probably would fit best at a faith-based institution, one with a strong sense of community. So when I read that Don was retiring, and of course I had met Don several times through Coach McGraw, and just knew Don's legacy and thought that would be a really, really tough person to replace, but a really cool person to replace, and a great job. There's so many fabulous things about this university, particularly under Dr. Reid's leadership. So the job really stood out for me as one that I thought would just be a great fit. I'm a basketball person. It's a basketball school, and I couldn't be more excited to work with the basketball coaches, Phil and Cindy.
So, since you mentioned her, Jill, Coach McGraw came to tell us what her reaction was once you got the call and you said you got the job.
Well, in classic Matt McGraw form, he said, "Let's go tell Muffet." And this was about an hour before we tipped against CSUN in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And I said, "Matt, no one bothers Muffet before the game." And he said, "Yeah, come on." So we barged in, and we had a great hug, and she could not have, I think it's really special to her. She's been saying for years, she's one of my biggest supporter, "You got to go be an AD." And so the fact that it's her alma mater is really, really special to both of us. And we've shared some really cool moments in the past few days. And I'm on my way to meet her in Spokane, and couldn't be more delighted to get to continue to follow that team.
So, Jill, you talked about this a little bit, but what is it about the Jesuit identity of the school that really drew you in?
I was raised, really, my parents, our primary values were social justice. My dad's a civil rights lawyer. My mom was a therapist, and they're both the most giving people that I know. And so the sort of the platform of our lives and our upbringing was community, holistic education. Both of my parents are educators. My sister's teaches at Notre Dame Law School now. So just the whole notion of education and holistic education and social justice is really what drew me to the Jesuit tradition and a Jesuit institution.
Joe, how excited are you to kind of put your own stamp now on a program? You know, you helped so much with Notre Dame, but now this is kind of you going to put your own stamp on this.
That's why I'm here. You know, when getting those questions in the interview, why would you ever leave Notre Dame? It's because I want to put my own stamp on a place, and I couldn't be more excited about the opportunities here. There's a great foundation, and we're going to think big. And that's what Dr. Reid's expecting of me, and I'm really excited to continue to build on what is a great tradition and great foundation, and that's absolutely why I'm here, is to help put my stamp on it. And it won't be just my stamp, because we're going to do this collectively.
So, Jill, you're the first female athletic director here. So what does that mean to you? What do you think that means for collegiate athletics going forward?
First and foremost, I'm an athletic director at a wonderful university in a wonderful conference. You know, if the fact that I'm a woman can help other women, that's a great thing. I've never really looked at myself as a special candidate in any way, and I'm really confident Dr. Reid picked me because I'm the best candidate. But I've already heard from numerous young women who say, "This gives me hope, and thank you for being a role model." So if that's an extra benefit, I'm really delighted to be able to play that role for them.
Dr. Reid, what was it when you looked at Jill that you liked the most about her, that really kind of sold you on her?
My eyes.
That's a great question. Jill's very humble, so I'm going to brag about her a little bit. Jill is really smart, and it's evident when you spend time with her. Not because she tells you she's smart or acts like she's the smartest person in the room. Her thoughtfulness, her eloquence. As one of the members of our Board of Trustees said to me, who had the privilege of meeting Jill and the other finalist candidates, he said, she can say something in 10 to 15 seconds, he said, that would take him, and by me extension, a minute or two to babble about. is analytic. She gets right to the chase on a number of different issues. She cares deeply about the student-athlete experience. One could argue Jill's a bit more non-traditional in the sense of her background, but she played sports. She's coached sports. Yes, she was a practicing attorney for a while. While working at Notre Dame, went back and got her MBA at the same time because she wanted to further develop her experience and her education. She's strategic. She's visionary. It comes across when you spend time talking about sports, talking about collegiate athletics, and talking about a variety of other topics with Jill. Frankly, coming from the University of Notre Dame was a particularly attractive thing for us. Notre Dame, from my perspective, and I think from most of our perspectives, is a school that models and practices and achieves excellence in a variety of different ways. They're not perfect. I'm sure Jill could tell you, off the record, of course, probably what their warts are as well. But this is a university that has high aspirations, and we at times tend to be overly humble, I think, about our status as a university. And one of the things that I learned in this process, not only through Jill, but through some of the other candidates, is we have something here to be really proud of and to be really boastful about and to not necessarily take for granted. And so, the fact that Jill wanted to be here, and that came across very sincerely and very deeply over the course of multiple conversations, really, at the end of the day, said to me, I really think this is the right person. And the last thing I would say of this is the athletic director at St. Joseph's University and really any Division I institution that plays athletics and aspires to compete at the level that we do has a direct and regular relationship with the president. And so I was looking for somebody that I felt I could partner with, that wouldn't tell me what I necessarily wanted to hear, would tell me at times what I needed to hear, but somebody who would challenge me and that perhaps I could challenge too going forward. So, we're just still getting to know each other, but I really look forward to what lies ahead in that relationship as well.
Thank you.
How gratified were you, Dr. Reid, that so many people wanted this job, and what do you think it says about the university?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I've been in higher education for 20 years and been involved in a lot of search processes, and I've said this to a few people, and it's probably appropriate to say here today. It's one of the first times I can ever recall, if not the only time I can ever recall, where you go through a process and at the end of the day, there are three, in some cases even 4 or 5 candidates who you say, wow, these people are really talented. I think I could work with these individuals. Other people who have met them really like them as well, and I think they'd be great fits here. So we had a really hard choice to make. And that's why I'm particularly excited about Jill, because in that process, you want the person who ultimately you select to really stand out from a really impressive group of people. And that's really what happened here. And, the other thing, when I came to St. Joe's a little less than 3 years ago, one of the things that was attractive to me is our athletic profile, the Atlantic 10 conference that we compete in, the success and the long-standing commitment that so many have had here at our institution. And so seeing that recognized by others as well was very affirming and very encouraging for our future.
Dr. Reid, so are there any areas that you want Jill to pay specific attention to in the near future as she comes into the school?
Sure. Well, Jill already hit on one of them, and it's about the student athlete, and it's about the student athlete experience. Everything that we do in athletics is really towards that end. Winning and competing is for the student athletes. We want student athletes to take the court, go out on the field, go on the water, wherever it is, and feel good about themselves, feel that they're prepared, feel that they have the support of the institution, and that we really are doing everything we can to support them in their athletic endeavors and in their academic endeavors. We have a great legacy of that here. In some respects, we may take it for granted because it's just part of our DNA. I think that's probably true of Jill's experience at Notre Dame as well. It's more or less built in, it's baked in to kind of who the institution is. But I really would like to see Jill get out and about and learn as much as she can about St. Joseph's University, what makes us special, where we have opportunities to grow, where we have opportunities to make improvements, and then when those things have been determined and decided, to act accordingly and to make those decisions going forward. But that's kind of really what I would see as well. I would just comment, too, on your question from before. I know you didn't ask it specifically of me. I think it's great that we have a female athletic director. I think it's wonderful. And I didn't know this until the other day when I spoke with an AP reporter, and Jill confirmed it, that it's about 9% or maybe 10% of the Division I athletic directors in the country are female. And I'm particularly pleased and proud here at our institution that we can help, contribute to that expansion going forward. But I just want to emphasize something and make no mistake about it. Jill is the best person for the job, and that's why she's here, not for any other reason.
Thank you.
Jill, you talked about graduation and how it's almost like mandatory and how important it is. You came from a place where that happened, so like how much does being part of that academic kind of help you in this job coming in here?
Well, the minute I started at Notre Dame Athletics, I went and heard my boss, Jack, speak, and Jack said to a group of friends and benefactors, there's one national championship Notre Dame has to win every year, and that's the graduation rates. So that's the baseline expectation at Notre Dame. And so, yes, we evaluate our coaches based on their commitment to an academic atmosphere and fostering that academic atmosphere. But again, as I mentioned in my remarks to the group, I see graduation as a minimum, right? And there's a difference between getting a GPA, having enough credits to graduate versus engaging in the process. And what these student athletes are getting in exchange for all the wonderful moments they give us and our fans is an education. And if they don't take advantage of it by truly engaging, and again, in the Jesuit tradition, in a holistic education, then they're missing out. So for their own good, it's our job to make sure that they're really engaging in the education. And I do think that the atmosphere at Notre Dame is the expectation that it's graduation plus engagement. So I do think I've got that foundation, and I'm ready to help. I think that culture's already here, but ready to make sure that we don't lose sight of that.